Welcome to the Comedy Here Often podcast. I'm your host, Kevvy. This week on the show, my guest is Ivan Decker. He is eating crumbly coffee cake.
I'm eating a crumbly, delicious cake.
So,
why is it so good when the crusty part is like, the more it falls away from you as you eat it, the more I like it.
Because it makes the snack go longer and therefore better.
But then you have to hunt down the little pieces. Like,
yeah,
then you look like a real. You're like, no, I'm good. I just love the bits.
You're getting your money's worth. Hi, Lauren.
Come on in with your giant jug of water.
That's okay.
Is that a Miles Anderson sticker?
It is. Do you want one?
Yes. Good Lord, I didn't know those were available.
That was almost your roommate, Miles Anderson.
Yeah. I have Fake Shark stickers on my luggage,
I
but
love
other
that.
than that...
You've been a big Fake Shark supporter. You were walking out to Fake Shark for a while.
Yeah, I love that band.
Thank you.
Great band.
Love that band. Love to meet them one day.
Yeah, one day.
Love to meet them.
If you're lucky, you'll meet Tony.
Is it okay if I crumble this in the microphone?
I insist. I insist. That's Alexi's problem now.
All
We
right.
need to get a separate mic for
Okay.
that.
Coffee cake's all done. Let's get to talkie time. I'm ready for the podcast.
First things first, why do you hate three-letter acronyms so much?
Because you can never... there's only so many three-letter combinations in the English language, and you can never tell which one. Like, if you Google a three-letter acronym, it's never the one you're looking for.
That's true.
You're like, what does HCl stand for? And it was like, chlorine liquidators. Is that who you're looking for? We got their website. It's awful.
No, I'm looking for heated cookie lighting.
Yes.
Obviously.
Also lighting.
It's a cookie and lighting company. Obviously.
That would be good, because you could save, like, the heat from all your lights could bake the cookies. That's a good way to lower your carbon footprint.
Well, that
as a lighting company.
Yeah, that must have been the original Easy Bake Oven. It was HCl.
They did it. They're like, we're putting a lot of cookies on these lights. It always smells so good in your light store. I love coming here.
What an amazing ruse that would be if your lighting store attracted customers by having cookie scent, freshly baked cookie scent, piped out into the streets.
It's like Subway.
Yeah, that fungus smell they have. Do you think that's an accident?
Yeah.
That's marketing.
They love it.
How
It's
come?
like the same with car companies, too. They have, like, whole engineering departments making sure the truck sounds cool from inside the truck. So when you're in your Ford F-150, you got to be like, I'm the coolest. They, like, have scientists be like, make sure it rattles through the heat system into their cool brains. They're like, blick, yeah, I'm the best. I'm upset that oil's below $100 a barrel, but other than that, my truck is cool. I can hear it from in here.
Yeah, shouldn't you not want to hear your own car from inside?
No, you gotta remember you're awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Every possible second, you have to be reminded how awesome you are.
I could use that. I really could use that. But I walk everywhere, so what do I get, a helmet?
Yeah. That's loud.
Sounds like
A
what?
sound helmet. It just keeps, like, when you take a step, it just plays. You can pick which footstep from, like, a cool movie. So, like, you sound like Mr. Freeze. Like, there's, like, icy footsteps. Oh. And you're like, yeah.
Okay. I thought you were going to say, like, Saturday Night Fever soundtrack.
Sure.
That would make me feel good, I think.
Yeah.
Or just positive affirmations all day long. Just brainwash myself
I
with
get so,
positivity.
like... When I'm walking down the street listening to music, be it Fake Shark or any other inferior band, I
love you
am
so
always
much.
trying
I love you
to
so
like,
much.
I always like to sing along, but I don't actually sing. I just move my mouth. But I'm always worried that people on the street are going to see me doing it, so I always have to like move my mouth, and then if anybody sees me, I'll just be like, like I have something caught in my lip. Oh. I'm like,
live in the same neighborhood, it is true.
Okay, all right. He looks great, though.
yeah. I'm going to pick up the few excursions I make to the outside world.
Just a sound helmet on.
I need dry cleaning. I like that you've just invented headphones, but more complicated. One of those sound helmets. You mean headphones, Kevvy? Yeah, I guess we could do it in just the ears. I wanted the whole head involved.
Yeah.
How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Thank you for asking.
That's great.
Thank you for asking.
It's wonderful to be here.
I love that you and I are always one guy's in LA, and then the day that the other guy goes to LA, the other guy comes here.
Yeah.
And so I just don't see you.
We're just
very
really
often.
sharing. There's always one of us in one. We're just taking shifts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's handling the West Coast city?
And let me tell you, as a guy who basically lives at LAX now,
Oh, God.
bad airport.
Yeah.
Bad airport.
Well, and now
It's
they got
so
the new...
dusty.
Everything about it's terrible. This is construction, but it's like, I don't even know what you could be building to improve this.
Tear it down and salt the
Yeah,
ashes
yeah.
so nothing else may grow there.
Even YVR now has like a big construction thing going on, but I
Yeah.
think it's just parking, which I'm like, that wasn't what we needed. We didn't need more space for cars.
You know what? YVR is the sound helmet of airports because when you walk in, they're just pumping in that waterfall sound.
Yeah. And the smell, they have smell when you come through customs. They have the like foresty smell.
It's like the Rainforest Cafe of airports, and I miss that restaurant. And I'm
I
not
wish
afraid
there
to
was a
say
gorilla every hour that went like as you're eating. There's just a very like there's most of the noises in the Rainforest Cafe are like soothing birds, but then like every 20 minutes there's like a mad gorilla. And it's like it's animatronic. It like jumps at you, so you constantly see people walking by with drinks, and it's like, and they're like,
just once an hour.
That's what it's like in the rainforest, Kevvy.
That's the hour ape.
Yeah,
Now we know it's
Of course.
12:15.
the ape of the hour.
Ape of the hour.
Hey, we're back with the ape of the hour. That
the-
sounds like a radio station contest.
Tell you what, it sounds like the title of this episode. Get it, young Alexi. Ape of the hour.
The ape of the hour. I guarantee there's a morning show somewhere in America that does like, it's the ape of the hour. You call in, tell us who the ape of the hour is. Is it your boss? Last week we had a woman call from the carpet factory. She said the ape of the hour was her friend Carol. She got her hand stuck in the carpet machine. What an ape!
Carol.
She had to go to the hospital like a real ape.
Special ape hospital, though. They got banana vaccines.
It is fun being in the United States, but as a Canadian, it's really apparent how much of a dystopian hellhole it is.
I know.
Like, they are really putting on a show that they're a reasonable place to live. But, like, what kind of a country where if you get in an accident, like, say you get stabbed, you have to call an Uber. Like, it's too expensive.
I know.
If someone calls you an ambulance, you're like, no, don't call me an ambulance. I can't afford that. And then they just have to, like, take out Lyft. Like, hospital, please.
Where's that pink mustache?
I can't afford my own Uber pool. You get in an Uber pool, someone's like, I'm going to work. I've been stabbed. Don't worry, I got a plastic bag for the blood. I'm going to save it because I don't know my blood type.
I know, and it really, like, they're almost proud of how dangerous it is. Like, everybody in LA has that app that's like, guess what crimes are happening near you?
Yeah, I had a driver in New York show me that. He's
Really?
like, this is what's happening all around us. Yeah. It was like this, I did this corporate gig in New York, and I flew into Newark, which is in New Jersey, and this guy's like, the company had hired this driver to like pick me up, and so he comes and gets me, and he's like, do you live in New York? And I said, no. And he's like, don't be nice to anyone. Especially not in New Jersey. And then he told this story about this rich guy that he used to drive everywhere. And he's like, this guy, we were good friends, and he was like a billionaire. And then he went in for some surgery and died. He died on the operating table. And then a month later, his wife married the doctor that killed him. And I was like, oh, that sounds very reasonable and totally not shady at all. And he's like, and everyone knows, but they didn't like him because he was rich, so no one cares.
Wow. You know what I love about out there, too, is I have a friend who needed a surgery, and she was looking up Yelp reviews on doctors, and the one that she was going to go to had 1 star.
Oh, yeah. I know. It's so insane that there's, like, doctors are, like, capitalists, so they have just, like, there's bad, same as there's bad restaurants.
Yeah.
There's just, like, bad doctors. They're like the fast food of doctor. They're like, yeah, there's no line, but I'll probably miss a few times.
What can I say? I'm bad at my job. I don't take it seriously.
That's why, like, there's all the talk in America of, like, he's a really good doctor. You gotta go see this guy.
Yeah.
He won't kill you.
He's a Canadian 3 out of 5.
Yeah. I've never even heard that in Canada. Everybody's just kind of like, yeah, I go to a doctor.
Yeah.
The doctor.
The doctor. Yeah.
Although I went to emergency once. I dislocated my shoulder. I went to emergency in Canada, and it, like, took a very long time to get in. And that's the part that the Americans always are like, well, there's big lineups. And I'm like, yeah, it's not that bad, and also it's free, so shut up.
Yeah.
But it was annoying that I had a dislocated shoulder. I had fallen snowboarding, and I went to the hospital, and I had to, like, wait, because you have to wait in the triage, and, like, till you can talk to someone and tell them what's wrong with you, and then they assign you to, like, wherever you gotta go.
Yeah.
And the person ahead of me, I'm, like, sitting there with a dislocated shoulder, and I could hear the guy in line in front of me talking about his earache. And he's like, yeah, it's just, like, sometimes there's, like, it, like, hurts a little bit, and then the other day there was, like, fluid, and I was like, it's not blood, it's just, like, clear, so I just don't know, like, I thought I'd maybe come down and ask somebody, and I was like, my bones aren't attached. Do you have your whole skeleton together? I'd like to go in front of you, please. I need to see a doctor post haste.
Oh, my God.
And then they took me in, and they put me in this room, and there was just like there was a woman in there who I assumed was there for a drug overdose, because she told me she was. And
It's a fair assumption.
but she was fine. I guess she was just being kept for observation, but I had to share a room with her, and the curtain was open, and she was just eating a lollipop, like, watching them try to put the IV in me, and she was like, because they couldn't get, you know, like, if there's a valve in the vein, they can't do it, so they, like, couldn't do it here.
Too valvey.
Yeah, there's a valve. They couldn't do it on the arm, so then they went to the hand, and then they went to the other arm. And then she was like, they don't get that arm. They're going to your neck next. And I was like, you shouldn't be in here. You seem fine.
Yeah.
Take your lollipop and get out of here.
Yeah, don't eat anything in the emergency room.
It was orange.
Oh, God.
I know.
She's a monster.
Better than yellow.
Yeah.
Who likes the lemon lollipop? I don't think anyone.
Yeah. No, I tried to do a joke about how green candy, like jujubes and all those ones where it's like all like jelly, the original jelly beans, not Jelly Bellies. They came in and changed the game. But then they were also like, we cost 7 times as much. It's like, shut up, you're not that much better. So I was like trying to do a joke about how green jelly beans, and this is like an example of the contrarianist society we live in, because every show I would have people come up to me and be like, I like the green. I was like, no you don't. No you don't. If someone handed you a bunch of red jelly beans and a handful of green jelly beans, you wouldn't be like, oh, green please. You just want to feel like a grown-up, and that's fine, because the rest of your life you have nothing. You don't own property and you don't have a car, so you think that you need to eat green jelly beans to be an adult. Just have red jelly beans. That's what we all want. Red, orange, get green out of there. Black is like, some people really like it, and some people hate it, so that I like that, because it's binary. But green, nobody's like, they're like, green.
What was the joke is that sometimes they're mint and sometimes they're lime, and it's unpredictable.
Yeah. Well, it's rarely mint. It's like yellow. Yellow sometimes is pineapple, and that's like the best thing that ever happens to you. Like when you get a yellow candy and it's pineapple instead of lemon, it's like winning the mouth lottery. Like when you're a little kid and someone gives you a yellow lifesaver and you're like, I hate you. Oh boy! What is this turn of events?
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, I think when you start to go with the more eccentric candies and you get a white one and it's pina colada, that's a mouth lottery too.
Yeah.
But that's not a common man's, taste.
Yeah, it's not in the big five.
Exactly.
The big five when we were growing up.
Yeah, lifesavers, go on.
Lifesavers, jelly beans,
Yep.
jujubes. It was like red, orange, yellow, green, black sometimes. I think that was it. Right?
Yeah. No, you're
Because there's
right.
no blue. Blue is like blueberry or blue raspberry. That came on
Razzleberry.
strong. Razzleberry. Yeah.
They just invented a fruit.
Like, we were so starved for any other flavor that when Fuzzy Peaches came out, we all lost our mind. We were like, this is the greatest flavor that anyone's ever designed. But it's like just the sweetest,
Yeah.
gross, syrupy peach flavor. Are they
It's
vegan?
Yeah.
Oreos are vegan, too.
Yeah, they are.
What about Hydrox cookies? Are those... Hydrox were the original Oreo. That's the thing that's so funny. So Hydrox were these
Not a great
cookies
name
in the
for
state.
marketing.
Yeah, terrible name, but they were the same thing. They were like the chocolate cookies with the... I know, it sounds like they make bleach, but they were like... People were like, oh, Hydrox cookies. And then Oreo came along and was like, we have a better name, and you're going to be out of business pretty soon. And that's what they did.
You are going to be out of business.
Oreo is much better.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Fair enough.
Yeah, I want to take someone else's idea. I am the Hydrox cookie to John Mulaney's Oreo.
What's the flavor hierarchy with like popsicles or like freezies? Do you find those
I feel
Oh,
like,
white. Everybody loves white.
white jumps? Right?
White's the
Yeah.
top. Whatever one cuts your mouth the least.
Yeah.
But yeah, Popsicle Pete, those were great. The ones that you could break in half.
Yep.
And those ones,
Ooh, the
orange
purple
were always
one was
very
good.
bad. Purple was good.
Yeah.
Root beer you could find
Ooh,
sometimes.
That was amazing.
Yeah. Occasionally there would be a root beer one, and like they would put one in each box.
Yeah.
And then if you went to the corner store, you'd have to like dig or like rip open new boxes while the guy's not looking. He's like, "Get out of my inventory." I'm like, "I want the root beer one." And yeah, I think orange was by far the worst of popsicles. For some reason, there was no lemon.
No lemon, they knew.
So
They knew.
orange got demoted to being
Yeah.
The bottom 10%.
unless except for creamsicles. That like they were good. The orange cream.
Creamsicles are amazing.
Yeah.
There's a Portlandia sketch where it was the different publicists for the different food groups, and Steve Buscemi represented celery.
Oh,
and so
nice.
he was hoping to do a deal with bacon, which was Fred Armisen.
Yeah.
And then I forget what it was. It was like a new hipster vegetable came in and was just like sweeping the nation.
Oh, it was
but
like
they handled
broccolini or something. That shit's everywhere
But
now.
it was directed and shot like an early 90s political thriller.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's amazing. Also, Stove had a point the other day that gummy bears all kind of taste the same, and as do Fruit Loops. It's just Fruit Loop flavor. I don't know that each individual Fruit Loop has its own flavor.
No.
I
don't think you can
but
tell.
The milk takes on the flavor of it all and it mixes together.
Yeah.
You're actually just tasting what them all mixed together.
The milk is
Yeah.
just fruit communism. They're all individual.
That's it. It's like,
Yeah.
You do it.
But it is delicious. I think the funniest thing with gummy bears when you were a kid was you would put them in your mouth and then spit them out to see how clear they got. You're like, I gave them a bath. Look how clear they are. Because you know how they're kind of cloudy, but if you put them in your mouth for a second, you take them out, then they were like very transparent.
Let me tell you how robbed I was as a kindergartner. They
Unpack some trauma right now.
about to. Sorry, you guys need to be my witnesses to this. It's about to get bad.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story afterwards.
Okay, I love it. First of all, I said this before, but my kindergarten teacher told us that people actually used to live hundreds of years. So that was weird thing to say to
Yeah,
5-year-olds.
in the Bible, they
Yeah.
did.
So, okay.
That's how they begat so many people.
That's how you keep begatting.
You can't begat when you're only living to be 80.
That's 100-year-old's game.
It's not enough time for begatting.
But she also put this glue on the outside of gummy bears to make them into counting, utensils. You know what I mean? I wanted to eat them. That's so weird.
She covered them in glue?
Yeah, so they were like hardened, and now you counted with them, and I just wanted to eat them.
Gross.
Why would,
Why would she do that?
Kids did eat
I guess
them.
so she wouldn't eat them. Yeah, I'm sure kids would try.
Yeah,
Why not just Lego or marbles or something
know.
that isn't candy and use that?
Yeah, that's very weird.
she's sick.
Yeah, self-control.
That's a very sick person.
Yeah. You know when you find out you're smarter than your kindergarten teacher?
Yeah.
I still haven't.
When I was a kid, we went camping, and this guy who was like in the campsite next to us was there with his family, and he was like, "Hey, we're having a big fire if you guys want to come over for s'mores or whatever." And then we were like, "That sounds fun. What are s'mores?" And then my dad was like, you wouldn't like it. It's like it's short for smorgasbord. It's just a bunch of like olives and stuff. And we were like, oh, that sounds gross. And then I grew up and later found out what s'mores were. And I was like, hey! I want to go back in time.
Do you think sometimes, like, as a child, you're so innocent, you think everyone's nice? What if that man was a creep?
That's all that was.
He may have been a creepy man. I
Yeah.
mean, he invited all of us. It wasn't like just the kids were invited. He was like, hey, Dad can come too. Bring your knife, Dad. I'm a creep, but I love a challenge.
I like to really earn my molestation.
Bring as many weapons as you can. Oh, man. That was the main appeal of going camping as a kid, was you got to have a knife.
Yeah, that's true. I caught myself with mine too.
Yeah, my brother and I both. There was like a time. So my dad was like, we were gonna go camping.
Yeah.
And he bought us these like, those little tiny foldable knives that are like, they're so small you can get them through airport security. They're like little. And my brother, he got one for each of us.
Yeah.
And he's like, here's your knives. They open like this, and this is how they close. And then within 5 seconds, my brother and I both closed them on our fingers, and the backs of our fingers were bleeding. And we hadn't even left the store yet. Both of our hands, like he's like, okay, boys, these are your knives. Be careful. And then cut to 4 seconds later, we're both like, Dad, my hand's bleeding. And then he had to turn. He wasn't even done the transaction. And he's like, also, do you have any Band-Aids?
Same aisle.
Yeah. She had some at the till. She's like, this happens a lot.
Did you guys go camping a lot as kids?
We did before my parents got divorced. But then afterwards, there were a few times when we went to like solo camping trip with Dad, which was always hilarious because my dad snored so loud that it was like, I can't sleep. This whole trip is horrible. I can't go to sleep.
That's a dad move to snore and know that you snore when you're on your back and insisting on sleeping on your back anyway, and everyone just has to deal with it.
Or he just rolls over. I don't know how it worked. It was kind of I don't know. It was also like my dad worked in the film industry, so he was like extremely sleep deprived all the time. So he can fall asleep anywhere, anytime.
Such an impressive skill.
Yeah, he's like the Incredible Hulk, except for sleeping instead of
Same
turning
purple
into the Hulk.
pants.
Because he once said, I was like, man, you can fall asleep. And he's like, you want to know my secret? And I was like, what? He's like, I'm always tired. Yeah. So he's like, and like he came to visit me in LA, and he'd be like, we're going out. I'd be like, yeah, we're going to go in like 10 minutes for dinner. He's like, great. And he would just like sleep for 10 minutes and just be like, time to go.
Holy shit.
Not groggy. Like that's years of that
Yeah.
in the film industry is just how you train to do it.
Holy.
Because he was in the electrical department, so his job was basically to show up before anybody else, wire up the entire set, and then if there's ever a problem, they would phone him, and he had to be able to wake up and like solve this problem. But the rest of the time, he was just sleeping in his truck.
I'm like the opposite. I'm like in bed at night, like my life's hard. My friend hurt my feelings.
Which friend?
Thank you, Lauren.
It was me.
Ivan would never hurt my feelings. Ivan's a very loyal friend.
I
Actually.
don't like hurting anyone's feelings.
Me either. Have you ever with a joke?
Yeah. I don't know. I have like stories that I don't want to talk about my family on stage, but I'm gonna have to start because I want to, like I was saying off the top, I want to be more autobiographical now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna get difficult for me because I'm gonna have to. There's gonna be some times when I have to like clear stuff.
Uh-oh.
But I think it's fine. I don't know. My brothers were never like.
Yeah.
did anything weird. Most of the time it was me.
You know what? If they did it, then you have a right to.
Exactly, right? It's a true story.
Like, oh, you're embarrassed by that thing you did? Maybe you shouldn't have done it.
Yeah, exactly.
When you were 6.
Also, I'm making money off it, so...
Also, you're welcome. You're famous.
yeah,
There's a great story that Nikki Glaser tells on stage about this. Like, she talks about her sister's husband being like a weirdo about something.
Yeah.
And then she like finds out, and then she is going to talk about it on stage. And then her sister's like, you shouldn't do that. It's not nice. Like, he's not comfortable with that information being out there. And then she was like, what if I give you $200,000? She's like, yep, no problem. yeah, say whatever you want.
Everyone has a price, and his is $200,000.
Yeah. It's like, she's like, I knew they were both broke teachers. Yeah, let me tell this thing.
Wow, Nikki Glaser making it rain. I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's great. I'm working with her on New Year's this
Are you?
year.
Oh, how fun.
Where?
Yeah. Salt Lake City,
Yeah.
Wise Guys Comedy Club.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's going to
That's
be
so
good.
cool.
Who else is on the show with you?
Her feature that she brings. It was going to be me headlining, but then she called the club and was like, I would like to headline. The club was like, can you not? And I was like, no problem. I will just drink and MC the show.
Amazing.
That'll be a great show. That's
Yeah.
actually not very much pressure on you.
I know, it's great. I was
Yeah.
supposed to be headlining. I am headlining the night before, on the 30th. You know, that night that everyone goes out? So that'll be exciting when there's 5 people in the crowd. Like, we don't know what day it is.
Where's the midnight countdown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you prefer hosting or headlining?
Headlining is great. Hosting's kind of fun for different reasons, but it's bad. Like, if there's less comedians on the show, hosting is kind of fun
Yeah.
because you can like watch. But on a long show, hosting's horrible because you don't really have. If everybody's doing like 5 minutes, you don't really have enough time to do anything in between. Like, if you go to the bathroom, you're paranoid that someone's gonna close early. You gotta,
Totally.
like, run back. Or if you're not really listening, but someone's doing really well and they're getting applause breaks, you keep thinking they're done, and you're like running over. Like, are they done? Oh, they're not done. Okay. Like, you can't. You're constantly on edge for the whole night as a host. Hosting is the hardest job in comedy, I think, other than headlining during check drop. But
Yeah.
Or on the 30th of December.
or on the 30th of December. Middling is the easiest. That's why middles always try to get too big for their britches. Because, like, when comedians middle, it's the easiest job in comedy.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when they start to be like, well, I'm the best. I should totally headline. I'm totally ready for this.
Yeah.
And I want to, like...
Who needs to hear this, but a lot of you.
I want to bring people like that with me to a corporate gig where I have to do an hour in front of a dairy farmers, and it's like no swearing, nothing about marriage, nothing about divorce, nothing about religion, nothing about they have like all these guidelines and nothing about the company, and you're just like, okay, here we go. And then you have to do an hour of that totally clean, no opening act, and the MC is an old man who introduces you like, this young man has done a lot in comedy, but he's no Steve Patterson. I'm a nigger. And then I do my set, and then afterwards an old lady calls me over, and she's like, I don't think you understand how to cook those foods correctly. Making fun of. And I'm like, yeah, it's not about that. This is not a cry for help. It's stand-up comedy. Did you hear people laughing when I was saying those things? That's why I say them.
Also, they gave you so many guidelines. Food was the only topic.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And even then, it's their dairy farmers. So if I start dissing cheese, it's all over.
Good thing they're not oatmeal farmers.
Yeah, exactly. If they know any oat farmers, get them. Yeah, it's weird, and it's also like it's so hard. So it's very funny when comedians are like, "You want my job? Okay, yeah, come to this terrible corporate."
Yeah.
I always say you're not a comedian until you've bombed at a corporate gig alone, and then you're in your hotel room at 4 a.m. looking up law schools. Like that happened to me in Parksville in 2009, and I was like,
God,
I think I'm ready to do comedy.
What's that
Because that's
like?
when you realize you're like, I have nothing else.
What's that like if you are 10 minutes into an hour and you're like, this isn't going well?
It's terrible. You just kind of like go into the... It reminded me of when I used to go... I had a lot of dental problems as a kid, so I would have to be in the dentist chair, and I would be in a lot of pain, and I would be like just try to move your consciousness to the back of your mind. Don't pay attention to what's happening. And then with comedy, you can kind of go on autopilot and just like do your jokes. It doesn't matter what anybody says, and if they don't laugh, you're just like, I just have to talk for the contracted amount of time, and then I can leave, and it's going to be horrible, but I'm going to make it out of here. Like, I talked to Erica Sigerson about it, too, because she does a lot of corporates, and she's like, I just think about the bottle of wine in my room, and no matter what happens, I'm going to go drink that wine.
Oh, man, it's like survival.
Yeah, it is. It's horrible. It's never fun, but they pay really well, and when you get the paycheck, you're like, right.
Yeah. It's funny, like, I've experienced that kind of thing in a band. Like, at least we have each other, and we can look at each other like, this is going terrible.
Oh, yeah. How different it feels when you're with somebody else is like night and day.
Yeah.
Like, if you're with, even if you have an opening act, and like, it sucks, but you can commiserate afterwards. You're like, man, those people are terrible. But when you're alone, it's like an existential crisis, because you're like, I guess I'm not good at comedy. I'm terrible at this. How did this entire room hate me?
Yeah. Man.
I've always said a thing sometimes if I'm bombing really bad. I'm like, listen, I'm not blaming you for how poorly this is going. I'm blaming the last 1,500 audiences I performed for misleading me into thinking that I was good at this. Please get them on the phone, because they have pulled a big bamboozle. They tricked me into doing this for a career. Can you believe it? How dare they? Only you're the only honest people on earth. This 60-person Kenworth trucking company, you know what's real. You're the only ones.
Oh, my God. Yeah. And then...
Might I suggest a career in YouTube comments? You seem to have it all figured out.
I worked at hotels back home for years, and we had a function. I can't even remember, some kind of business, another corporate, and they got Jamoan in. Do you know that comedian?
No, Jamoan?
Jamoan. Maybe he's only big back home. And he's like famous.
Yeah.
Like plays theaters, and then you're just like, they didn't care for him.
Oh, yeah.
At all.
Oh, man.
I'm like, I see you on TV.
I know.
All
Yeah.
the time.
Oh, I have that with corporate people when they tell me, they're like, well, we had, and then they'll name a comic who's like very famous, and they'll be like, and he was awful. So we're wondering if we could book you. I'm like, no! Because that's a you problem. If this guy didn't kill, you're terrible, obviously. The biggest problem in all these hotel ballrooms, and if anybody's thinking about having a corporate and they're listening to this,
Don't.
figure out the lights. That's the only... They can never figure out how the lights work in these hotel ballrooms. I'm always like, hey, are you going to turn the lights down before the comedy show? They're like, whoa, I don't think these go down. I'm like, yes, they do. And they're like, well, I mean, we got an iPad. It's pretty complicated. Jackson usually does it. He's not in today. I'm like, turn them down and put on a spotlight. They're like, why? Is that important? You need the dark? I'm like, have you ever been to a movie or any show for that matter? You ever notice how the lights go down before the show starts? That's how human beings respond to an event. So please turn down the lights. It's amazing how much you're paying me to be here, and you won't put in the minuscule amount of effort that it requires to make this happen. All I need is a microphone and lights. If you had a magician or a band, there'd be all kinds of shit you had to do. But for me, they're like, whoa, these lights, though. It's pretty complicated. We could turn the ones out in the middle, but leave the side ones on so you're dark and the audience is light. Is that fine? Yeah, that'll be great.
Oh, man.
I don't understand corporate comedy and like why it's like the world. It just seems like a setup for failure.
Yeah.
Do you want as a corporate person at 9 a.m. to sit there and what? Does anyone?
Is that what time they do that?
Sometimes. Most of the time it's at night.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of the time, the only ones that are like really good, and this is a great time to have a corporate comedian, is when it's not all one company. Like if it's like the Dairy Farmers is good because it's a convention, so a lot of the people are from different farms. They don't all know each other. When an audience all knows each other, it's horrible. That's why I don't do weddings. I won't do like, you know, when it's one company and they all work closely together in an office and they all know each other. You're the only outsider. And so it's a very weird experience for them because they don't want to hear somebody who doesn't... every Christmas party at a company, you just want to be like doing inside jokes and like, hey, remember when this guy fell off that ladder? Whoa. That's all you want to do all year, and then make a move on the receptionist you've been waiting to hit on for the entire year. That's it, and like give away prizes. So to have somebody come in who's like not part of the family and just be like, I hate walnuts, they're like gross. But if they don't know each other, then it's good because it's like a sort of a bonding event. And so in those situations, it can work. But a lot of times, what I'll do for corporates, which I love, is hosting things. So I'll host like they do an awards night. And I'll MC it. And that's easy because you only do like 10 minutes of comedy off the top. And then you just like introduce people who are going to bring up awards. And in that circumstance, it's really good to hire a comedian. But yeah, most of the time, they don't want a comedian. I don't want to be there and they don't want me there. It's like one person's idea for like, ooh, what about a comedian? And I've even had them introduce me. Like I did this one for the Parksville Volunteer Firefighters Association. I shouldn't probably be naming it.
Bleep that out.
Doesn't matter. I don't care. The mayor of Parksville was there, and they showed a slideshow. They did like a memoriam of the guys who had died that year, and then at the and it was like 2 hours of speeches, and everybody's like, "We really just want to smoke and drink," and then they were like. After they do the slideshow, they had like this screen where the projector was, and they just grabbed the screen and like did the thing where it goes up, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, one more thing. We're trying something new this year. We got a comedian from Yuck Yucks. Please welcome Ivan." I didn't even say my last name. Yeah. And then I get up and I bombed so hard, Bomb City, and it was terrible. And then the mayor of Parksville. Came up to me afterwards and put his hand on my shoulder. He's like, better luck next time, kid.
Oh, shut up. Shut up.
And then his wife was like, I thought you were pretty good. And I was like, I hate this town.
Yeah. People don't realize there needs to be a correct context for stand-up comedy.
Yeah, and you don't want it for an hour. People think it's an hour because they're like, I want an hour. I'm like,
You don't.
I always tell them that I do more jokes in 30 minutes than most people do in their lives. So just let me do 30, pay me for an hour.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy. Because even 30 feels long in a situation like that.
For sure.
Like, people don't understand that, like, contextually, like 30 minutes, that seems short when you're like, only 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know, remember when you were a kid and recess was 10 minutes? It felt so long.
And that's like 30 minutes of someone prepared, let alone if you heard someone like talk for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Not prepared, you're like, holy.
Yeah,
Christ.
and I'm not just riffing. I'm not going up there being like, hey, this guy. I mean, which sometimes that's what they want, though. They want you to, like, talk to the boss and, like, do all that stuff. But that should be, like, a separate...
Because that's a pay bump for that, I think.
Yeah, well, if they want me to write things specifically for their company, I'll tell them it's going to cost them more. Because if it's like, okay, you want me to do some jokes about milk dairy people?
Really hung up on the dairy farmers.
No, that's just because that's the last gig I did. And they were wonderful. It was a great gig. I'm very happy that they had me. But it was like, I just don't understand. I think it's because stand-up comedy is such a broad thing. And this is problematic in a lot of elements. I mean, now more than ever, though, people have the opportunity to go online and see what this comedian does. Because, I mean, the comparison has been made time and time again, but it's like, imagine if you just booked somebody for music. Like, that's crazy, right? You have to have a specific... People need to know what kind of comedy they're going to get, and so when they get me, but they're expecting somebody to be like... Mr. Slick crowd work. Hey, look at the bus. Looks like you can't, all that money, can't afford hair. Is this your wife? Ooh, plastic. Like that. They want that guy.
You sound pretty good at it to me, I'm going to be honest.
They want that guy, but then I show up and I'm like, I'm a nice boy and I don't like milk or whatever. It's bad.
Did he ask you out of curiosity if you drink milk?
No, because I don't. But I did.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, I've done a few. I don't know. I like farmers. I think they're great.
They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they don't... Yeah, it is funny when they ask me, like, specifically... Like, Subway almost tried to book me for a spokesperson...
Wow.
...job.
And the new Jared?
Yeah. Well, it was like guy on the street when you go up to people and be like, hey, look at that ham. You know, those commercials that nobody likes? They keep doing them. Like, who watches a commercial and they're like, hey, that guy on the street seems pretty into that sandwich. They go around the bus station and they're like, hey, what do you think of this? And it's just people being like, is that ham? And we're all like, I should try that ham. It's Very dumb.
Commercials really working on
Marketing
me.
people are out of ideas. Streeters are stupid. But anyway, maybe they work, but they're horrible to do because as the spokesperson, you honestly like. You don't just... People are so out of it that they, like, think it's live or something. But, like,
That's so true.
when you do streeters, all you do is you have a goal in mind. You're looking for a specific response from people, and you just film until someone says the thing you want them to say. So, like, we want someone to go, the ham's really crispy. And so I have to go around all over the place and be like, what do you think of that ham? And they're like, it's wet. And we're like, cut. I go find somebody else, be like, do you think that ham's pretty crispy? And then we have to get them to, I'm like, say it back, say the full ham is crispy. Ham is crispy. And then they just edit it to be like, crispy ham. But they were like interviewing me for this spokesperson job. And then I said to my agent, I'm like, you know, I have a bit like in my act about how horrible Subway is, right? Yes. Like, it's bad. I don't like them. Like, do they know this? He's like, just keep it quiet. They're never going to find out. No one watches Canadian television. Oh, wow.
You know what's so crazy is when that Subway had Jared as a spokesperson. This is when he was still working as because he was like the spokesperson for like Subway has healthy sandwiches too.
Yeah.
They actually hired Tom Segura to be that character's brother who liked bad for you subs, and they shot a whole campaign, and then the Jared thing happened, and then all of it got canceled.
Oh no!
But Tom Segura still got paid.
Yeah, he probably got so much money. That's ideal. Yeah, that's the ideal scenario. When you get, it's like the people who like get a ton of money and then get edited out of the movie entirely. It's like, great, love it. That's awesome. I'll take it.
You know what I was just talking about? You and I were backstage at Comedy Mix, and we were talking to Brian Callen.
Yes.
And he came up to me and he went, "Hey Kev, nice pants. They come in men's." And then he high-fived you, and then said to you, "Nice shirt. You get it from a lumberjack." And then high-fived me, and he was just back and forth, lightly roasting.
I was like, "Yeah, you just got Callan. You just got brinned." I don't know how that. The thing that was happening during the other Subway thing that happened only in Canada was when they CBC Marketplace did a thing where they went around to all the fast food companies in the country and they DNA tested the chicken to see what percentage of chicken was chicken. And most of them came out like, you know, because there's some soy fillers in there and like other products, antibiotics, but whatever. It's like McDonald's was like 85.
Wow.
Some of the other ones were like 70. No, I think it was like 85 to 90 was the range for like most of them. But then Subway came in at like 51. Oh my God. And CBC Marketplace was like, that can't be right. And so they tested it at the lab like 4 times. And it kept coming back as like, it's only 50% chicken. And then Subway like panicked and took out all these full newspaper ads like 50% chicken is 100% a lie. But they never they sued CBC. But CBC was like, well then do the test and show us it's 100. Yeah. We can introduce you to the scientists.
Yeah.
Do it. And they never. It was like one of those situations where they're suing for defamation, but it's like, well, then prove that it isn't. And they couldn't do it. Yeah. And so I think the lawsuit is like still in court now.
Holy.
And CBC is like petitioning the federal government to be like, just throw the case out because they clearly can't prove that this chicken is more than half chicken.
Can't you just change it now and do the test?
I don't know. They can't because they have like, you know, they're beholden to whoever their suppliers are. It's such a huge chain. So like
$210 million.
Yeah, $210 million. They're suing CBC. But, like, the case is going to get thrown out because Subway can't prove that it's chicken. They're like, just replicate the test. Well, it's like soy. It's all soy.
49% pillowcase.
You know that stuff they make those IKEA furniture out of?
It's got to go somewhere.
Press board.
Yeah. Did you ever work in the fast food industry?
No.
Or in a food industry at all?
I did. I worked as a delivery guy, and I worked as a dishwasher and a chip maker at a like old-timey fish and chip place.
That
we had
sounds
to
all right.
hand make the chips with potato. We'd have to like put the potatoes in this big skinning machine. It was like sandpaper, and it would just like basically shave the skin off, and then we'd have to like put the potatoes in this hand chipper and like push them through into this bucket.
I'm just worried about you hurting yourself after your knife story. Did you ever hurt yourself there?
No, but I had jammed my finger, but it wasn't bad. Potatoes are not that they're pretty easy to like squish through. The only thing that was gross was when sometimes you'd get like a blighted potato, and so
What's that?
like, well, that's what caused the potato famine, was potato blight. And it's basically they look fine on the outside, but then when you cut into them, the middle is like black and dusty and hollow, and there's this weird goo in there. It looks like a wizard cursed the potato.
Probably did.
And so sometimes you'd put a potato through the chipper and it would just come out with like dust and then just like gross like
Ruin all
husk of. No, I mean we just take those ones out,
Okay.
throw them away. They're gonna get deep fried. I'm sure it's fine. So that was the only gross part. But the stuff we used, we had to use like they wanted to use like healthy stuff to preserve the potato chips before they put them in the fryer. So it was like citric acid and whatever combined. It would ruin your hands. So we all had to get like surgical gloves and then dishwashing gloves and then duct tape them to our
Oh,
wrists
wow.
to like form a seal so that our hands wouldn't
like a
be
hazmat
totally
suit.
gross. Yeah.
Fish and chips hazmat suit.
Yep. It was great.
Unreal. Was your last day job Science World?
Yeah. Science World was the last job I had, but I haven't had a lot of jobs. People always are like...
You haven't had a lot of
I
jobs?
have.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
had like the most.
Really?
Every time I tell people about all the jobs I've had, they're like, "How old are you?" You're like a 60-year-old man.
Like, were they all sort of hospitality, or did you
Most
have
of
like
them
construction?
were customer service, but I did do construction. Both my brothers are construction. They do
that's
driveways. If
Yeah.
you need a driveway done in the Greater Vancouver area, Lionheart Concrete are the best.
Ask for Tom.
Ask for Tom or Leo. But they're great, and
Your family has cool names. Leo Decker?
yeah,
I gotta meet this guy. I've only met
right.
Tom.
He has a gold tooth.
That's so cool.
And so I worked with them. I did landscaping for a while. I worked in a call center. I did door-to-door sales.
Of what?
Of like, you know those people...
Knives?
It's like stuff. Yeah, it's like worse than knives though, because like everything we sold was like $10. So we would sell this like wooden pencil crayon set for like kids, but it was like the pencil crayons like wouldn't write. Like it was just colored wood. Like it was total con man stuff. We sold those like shades you put over your windshield so your car doesn't get hot. We sold a book of birthday cards.
Oh yeah, you told me.
I think we talked about this before. Yeah. So we did that, and we would go into like businesses. It wasn't like yeah, and they would yell at us to leave. My friend Chris was telling me he used to sell knives at the Bay. He was like one of those guys that does the demo at the thing, and there's like all these strategies we do where like to get people to come closer, you don't go like, hey, come over here. And if you look at them the whole time they're coming closer, they seem weird. Yeah. So you always would like reach for something. You'd be like, hey, come over. Come and have a look.
So enticing.
I got some good stuff. When you would do the like pitch for like the price, you'd be like, I know this guy wants one. I know this guy. You're excited about that, but you're not even pointing at me. You're pointing past. You're like, this guy really wants, and then you two are like, what guy? I don't want to miss out. There's like all these weird sales strategies. The weirdest one is the flooding smile. Are you familiar with this?
No.
Okay, so I want introduce me to Kevvy as the head of sales. Just be like, this is Ivan. He's our salesman.
This is Ivan. He's our salesman.
Hi, how are you? See, that's creepy, right?
Oh,
Okay, do it again.
Love it.
This is Ivan, our salesman.
I'll buy anything you're selling, sir.
See how you smile after? You don't come in hot with the smile.
I've been doing it wrong my whole life. Why are you stuff my face?
You just come in.
You smile too much.
And then as soon as you make contact with them,
Yeah. Oh wow.
Wow, that's soothing to watch.
Yeah.
it's nice.
That's amazing.
I gotta add that to my sound helmet.
You just bring me in to pitch the sound helmet.
I think that's a good idea.
Let me introduce you to the sound helmet.
And that's a callback. So I guess we should end it there.
All right.
Thank you, Ivan Decker.
Oh man, what a pleasure. Were we recording?
Yeah. I hope so. That hasn't happened yet, but who knows?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. What's coming up? This is going to come up probably early January. right? Yeah.
How
Okay, so
early?
if you're listening, you've missed the show on the 30th.
Yeah. There is a show. January 4th is
Okay.
I'm at the Vogue with Archie and others for the
Yumi.
Vancouver Comedy Extravaganza. Yeah, Yumi will be there.
Gavin.
It's going to be a really great show. And then I believe after that, if you are in, I'm not sure how reaching. What will be my next Vancouver date after that? Oh, I'll be in Seattle at in the middle of January, January 23rd to 25th. I'll be in Bellevue and Seattle at Laughs Comedy Club.
Excellent.
And then I will be in Philadelphia at the end of February. Sorry, end of January I'm at Bellevue. Did I say February? It doesn't matter. Just go to my website. It's all on there. It's soundhelmet.com.
And April 17th, Ivan will be headlining the Comedy Here Often
That's right.
showcase here
That's
at
right.
604 Studios.
That's
Can't
great.
wait. I'm very excited for that. Also, I'm doing a show in my hometown of Ladner, British Columbia
That's
on
right.
January 17th at my old high school.
Oh,
That's
how
so
fun.
exciting.
If you'd like to come to that, that can be found on Facebook.
At the high school talent show.
Yes.
Gonna show those teachers I amounted to something.
That's right. Give me a 7 out of 10, Mr. Marr.
That's my dad's name. All right. Thank you, Ivan.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Comedy Here Often podcast. I've been your host, Kevvy. Make sure to follow us on our social medias at Comedy Here Often and subscribe to our YouTube. And make sure to follow Ivan Decker on his social media. We'll see you next week.